Hey everybody, Rachel here from Rachthestamper.com, and today I'm going to show you a really fun fold card using the tune-in bundle. So we are going to be using several of the dies from this, the television, a few of the extra decorative stamps, and this is the card we're making. This is actually a version of a card that I found on Pinterest that I thought was really adorable, but I kind of tweaked it using some of the online exclusive, the floral paper. Let me see if I can find the name of it, because I always call it the wrong thing. It's the flowering zinnias. I think I always call it dahlias, but I used these two pieces. So this has the zinnias on the one side, but it's got just like this kind of crazy pattern. This could almost be like a television pattern. You could use anything else. The card that I saw made with this, I don't know what DSP they used, but it was very fun. I went ahead and added a back panel to it for the happy birthday sentiment. But I'm just going to give you a couple tips. This is a different size of a card because it's actually measures 10 inches, if I am not mistaken. Let's go to the centimeter side. Yeah, 10 inches by 4 1/4. And I made several of these. Like, I was making my templates for Card Club, and they were wrong because I did it on 11 and I pre-scored it. So you do have to be just a little bit cautious with this. So I'm going to show you, and I will put all the measurements for this on the blog, but you're going to need a piece that is 2 inches and then a piece that is 4 1/4, and then they're both scored the same because you're actually going to just fold them in different portions for the Z fold. So it's 10 inches and you're going to score it at 5 1/2, and then I actually turned this one this way, so I should have told you that one first. I believe it was 2 1/4, 2 1/4, and then it would be 4 1/2, but I scored mine at 5 1/2 first. So if you're doing it that way, it would be 5 1/2 and 7 3/4. So just kind of depends on which way you want to do, but it's a pretty fun card. We have these two panels here. I did something originally and then I swapped it out because I didn't really like it quite as much. So you have two panels that are white that are going to fit in these top portions here. So let me move this up out of the way so you can see what I'm talking about. So we have two panels here. One will be here, and I would suggest when you stamp these to stamp them next to each other so it can kind of be a contiguous pattern, which I did not do the first time, but I think would look nicer for the second time. So these measure 2, if I'm not mistaken. Yep, one of them is 5 1/4, and then one of them is 2 1/8. So 2 by 2 1/8, 5 1/4 by 2. Okay, and then you have two pieces of DSP. This one I just flagged with a retired flag punch. Same thing, measures 5 1/4 by 2. And then you have these little panels here. They measure 2 by 2 1/8, and they only fit one direction. So when you put them on there, if they look wrong, you probably just need to turn yourself 90 degrees. I have a piece for the back that measures 4 by 5 1/4. And then I have a piece for the inside of the television message, and then a piece for the television. So those are just basically scraps cut to size. Then the other thing is I used some glimmer paper. Now we do have a 3-pack of glimmer paper right now. I believe it is purple, green, and then this, which is kind of like a champagne iridescent. I think it's iridescent because it's kind of timeless. It's not really associated with white or cream or whatever. And then foil, and the foil that I had was from the foil pack, so I used that for both of these pieces. So any type of silver foil would be great. So I just have some old scraps here. The other thing that I used were for the knobs, just to make it a little bit more fun, but this also is going to raise your card up a little bit, so just keep that in mind. But I thought they were really cute, and these are called the Tinsel Gems 3-pack. So I feel like it is probably, if I were to pick a color, these are probably Misty Moonlight, these are probably Fresh Freesia, and these are most likely Coastal Cabana, or they could be Summer Splash. And it could probably be written here, but I don't really know. So this is still current. This is a current pack. The only thing that was a substitute in would be for the glimmer paper and the foil. So let's get started with our stamping. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this off And I kind of tried to stick to 3 main-ish colors for these. So I'm just going to put these right next to each other. That way when we stamp them across, they're kind of all on the same plane. You could even make a piece that's big enough and then just trim it off if you wanted to. This is for the inside message of the television. This is for the actual television. Everything else is going to get just stuck on here. And then I have my piece for my back. So I was telling the ladies in Stamp Club that when some time ago there was a thing about, do you think this bucket's full? I guess is like the best way to say it. Do you think this bucket's full? And they put rocks in it, and then they put sand in it, and then they put, I don't know, whatever else in it. Grit, gravel, stones, etc. This is going to go here. So I'm just kind of lining these up so I know what I have. And the analogy was that the bucket wasn't full because there was always smaller portions of things that could fit in. So that kind of can also equate to this stamping that we're doing. And the reason being is you want to start with your darkest color and your largest image if you're doing like DIY DSP. So make your own patterned or designer series paper. And then you're going to go to the next lighter color or the mid-tone color, and then you're going to go to the lightest color altogether. So what we're going to do is we're going to stamp this. I would say would be the biggest because it's a bold image, and this is going to be the darkest color. And our colors for this are, doesn't belong in there, Melon Mambo, which I would say is the darkest. Summer Splash is the mid-tone, and Peach Pie is the light. So Peach Pie are these little stars. Summer Splash is like this, almost looks like a QR code or like a splotch on a television. And then the lightning bolts. So I'm going to do those first, Melon Mambo, and I'm going to just kind of put them randomly all over these two pieces because they're like the biggest and the darkest. Whoops, this is going to get cut, so it doesn't matter. I'm going to leave that there in case we decide we need something extra. Then I'm going to come in with the Summer Splash, and we're going to put this one in. And the reason I said to do these where these pieces are almost connected is because when you glue them on, it will look like one uniform piece of paper that you specially made, which is kind of cool. I think that's almost, we'll do one more there, enough. I'm going to put this on the side. I'm fairly certain we won't need any more of that, but we do need this ink. And then finally, we have our little 60s stars, and these can just fill in all the other places, just kind of rotating as you stamp. Cool. Okay, so these two we're done with. So I'm going to pick these up and just scoot them over here. I'm going to grab my chamois and just kind of wipe this. Chamois is pretty dry. Kind of wipe this off because I want to put something else down. I have my back piece here. And if you remember for this one, I just stamped Happy Birthday and I put the little stars. So you could also make this into like a congratulations card. I'm going to move these two down just a little bit for now because I want to be able to get this to the corner. So since this isn't inked, we'll just same, just rotating. That looks good. And we also need, we're still going to need this one more time. We need our Stay Tuned for an Important Message, which I did in Melon Mambo. This is for the television. And there's that. Those are a little bit more pink because they're picking up the wet ink. Do that one once more over here. There we go. And I put Happy Birthday. You can also do Newsflash here. I forgot about that. We should have done that while that was out. And I'm also going to just ink up my television. Since this is a pretty large stamp, I'm just holding it and doing it. Hopefully you can slide this up just a smidge for that bottom part. I'm just stamping this. Looks good. I want to put my happy birthday that I missed. Can't tell if that's dirty and that's why it looks like it's so much lighter. So we'll find out in a minute. Yep, looks great. I think that's all. Get all our stamping. The only thing I missed was newsflash. And let me just see which way I put this. Okay, so it didn't really need to line up, but it made me feel better. And I'm just gonna grab newsflash. Right there. Grab my memento. The person, one of the people that originally did this type of a card layout actually had a little flash, like a little pop-up thing. So it like popped up, but I am either not mechanically inclined or talented enough to figure that out, so I did not do that portion. All right, so now all we have to do is some die cutting, but if you just give me just 1 minute, I just want to wipe some of these stamps off so I can just pop them back in here and kind of be cleaned up. And as we go, I will tell you, I'm trying my very best to make sure I post these videos really quickly, only because we are having a free shipping for $75 or larger orders on the 23rd of July, which is coming up. So I'm going to try. I'm hoping that it's 1 day only. I'm hoping that, you know, you'll be able to hit that in time if that's something that you're interested in. Literally just came out. I know we usually have some sort of a paper promotion sometime in July, but this thing just, I guess it just escaped my mind. We do typically have a lot of the same sales yearly that, like, you know, at this time of year you can count on this kind of sale or whatever, but this free shipping, I don't think anybody knew about this one. It's a pretty good one if you're trying to order some stuff that maybe you need to stock up on. Okay, so now I'm gonna cover this up. So I'm gonna get out large television. This is gonna be for this message. We need this little guy. We need this little guy. We need this little guy. So these are all going to get glued on. I'm just gonna put all of these here. That needs to be cut. This is glued. I just want to cover this up so I don't goof it up. This will be glued as well. And I'll put this back on here. All right, so the easiest way to do this is we're going to just take this, we're kind of lining it up straight-ish. We should be able to cut most of this in one pass, which will be good. We have that. And if you ever notice that you are not able to line up your dies, this is just a general tip. It's probably because when you put your photopolymer stamp, it was like off. So a lot of times if you pick your stamp up again, set it down, and then pick it up with your block, it sometimes will come up a little bit easier. I'm also going to put these two onto foil, and then this one is just onto some glimmer paper. Let's see if we can get all these on at the same time. So these two. This I like to try to keep on at the bottom. I'm not sure if this is something that you have ever noticed, but when you have foil, a lot of times it will pick up the impression of the die or the plate that you press it through with. So if you're doing something that's exclusively foil, sometimes it's almost worth it just to have one plate that you use, because it will put impressions onto this, which kind of can, not that it really makes it it doesn't affect the use of the foil, but it kind of makes it look almost a little bit kind of beat up. I'm going to just trim this off and sit that there. So I usually try to put my foil that way less of it is getting pressed at once, if that makes sense. That's why it's kind of hanging off the edge. So I'm going to put all of these in, run them through the die cut machine. There we go. Okay. And these, they pop out really easily. And take this off. I try to peel it against, that way we don't end up with any tears, because that does happen sometimes. Okay. These are both trash. This, and then we have these little guys. All right, let's move most of this stuff out of your way, and we'll put this together. So to begin, we're going to start with some of our front gluing. So again, with this one, I am using, this is retired. It's just a triple banner punch. You can just do this just as easily with your scissors if you need to. But if you do happen to be lucky enough to have this punch, flipping it over when you punch kind of makes it so you can see exactly where you're punching. It makes it a little bit more even. So that's the only thing we need that for. And again, these two are going to fit. So this is your layer. So I'm going to go ahead and glue these on first. Liquid glue. Nice part about this is if you are ever looking to use up some of your pattern or designer series paper, this is a good way to do it, because you can put just little pieces on, especially if it's something that kind of coordinates, like doesn't necessarily have to be matchy, but it kind of coordinates with the colors that you're using. So for the zinnias, it does have melon mambo in it, so that's why I find that's a good one. This one kind of was more pumpkin and yellow, and it didn't really necessarily match, but the color scheme of the paper was good enough that I was okay with it. When you mount this one, you can either put your pennant to one end or the other, but I kind of felt like the way it was going with the television kind of halfway, and it doesn't really necessarily need to be all the way to one end or the other. I just kind of liked it. So then this one is going to get folded, and you do want to make sure that you crease these. And you could do it before, after, doesn't make a difference. So there's the bottom panel. And then this is our top panel, but I'm going to go ahead and glue these on first. So this one gets glued very close to the top. Where does this match? Here. This one's going to get glued here. I'll do this first. And I'm just, again, trying to glue it. It's in the middle panel, but it's very close to the top. So you have a very small border. You're covering it up so it doesn't matter, but just aesthetically, you want it to match as well as you can do it. Same with this one. That looks good. Okay, so we're going to fold this in, fold this out. There we go. There's those. These little guys here really are just up for however you want to glue them. I just kind of glued them in like a very haphazard pattern. So let's hold off on that for a minute. I'm going to glue this is going to go, oops, this little piece is going to go on here. So what I did is I just put a good amount of glue in the center and then kind of like a dot on the little spokes. Kind of just put it on there haphazardly. The message, oh, this is one thing I forgot to say. The message, what I did is I actually, because I covered this up, I had this in a completely different color, and I actually ended up wrapping it with, looking at this, and I'm like, this isn't my card. I think I took somebody else's card home by mistake, because mine was sticking off the top. I actually wrapped mine in, and I can tell, isn't that crazy? Yeah, funny story. What I did is I took this, and I wrapped this with the edge of the, just like that, because it kind of makes it stick out a little bit more. It gives it like a little bit of 3D look to it. So I'll just put some glue here and just pop this right in the middle. And then this, you just want to be careful, because if you put this too far up, so this is what happened on this card. Obviously this isn't my card, so this is fine, but mine, this was up so high that it stuck off. And there are two different ones. There's one that's a little bit skinnier and there's one that's a little bit wider. So I just put this right, a little bit of glue on the bottom. And it's more so about where you're positioning your television on the card versus where you're positioning this. Okay, so we have that. And then these are going to get glued in opposite like that. But we do need to put these little pieces down first. So I'm going to put these. So I'm just going to keep this here so I know where I don't want them. So if we were to go like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'll just pick this up. 1. Kind of whatever one comes out, doesn't really matter. It's just something for decorative. You can also put these across the television if you wanted to do that. Gosh, nowadays nobody knows the out of order or television is closed symbol, because that just doesn't exist anymore. But those are going to get glued on just like that. Give those just a minute. And then these are going to glue on here closed. So what you want to do is you can either put glue on here, or you can just put it on this part and this part so you know where to glue it. So I'm going to do that, and I do want to put a good amount of glue because it is a card that will be moving. So we want to make sure it stays where it's supposed to. Okay, so what you're going to do is just open it up. You're matching one end, oops, to one end. And then what I usually do is open it to where I want it to be and just press and hold. Make sure, oh, this is a little bit off. There we go. Make sure that it lines up, because you do want it to stand completely straight up. Don't want a wonky card, that's for sure. I'm going to go ahead one more time and just press this and this. Okay, so you have that. We need to also have a little bit of a wonk here, but I think it's okay. We'll also put this onto our back panel. You guys have noticed ever since I've had this issue with the glue, I did get new pins, but if I let it sit out now, it's getting stuck. So might have to go over to my newer bottle. Definitely will still say this is some of the best glue I've ever used. It's so nice for precision gluing. I really, really love it. Okay. And then finally, we need to put our TV on, and I kind of put it askew just because. So this is where I'm saying you want to make sure you don't want to put your TV up too high, because then this is over and it won't fit in your envelope. So kind of stick it a little bit sideways, like so. I definitely put glue on my feet. Oh, this is so frustrating. Why are you doing this to me? You know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to get out my new one. It's my brand new one. Since that one's being a little bit of a stinker. So when you do get these, they come with a completely sealed travel lid, which is kind of nice, but it does travel really well as long as you have the correct pin and you don't try to jam it in there and Rachel it all up. But you just put this little cap on, different levels of gluing. Put this little guy on. This one would be your pin for stopping it, so I'm just going to show you here. Okay. I think this is where we said we wanted it. Looks good. Make sure you put your glue closer in there as soon as you're done. I should do that with this one. We won't have any more problems. And close this up. And we just need to add on our little dots. So I just used 2 of these. Grab my little jewel picker, and I put 1 on each one. You can use big, little, really doesn't matter what you want to do. I use the tiny ones because they kind of fit right inside of the hole. Perfectly sized Stampin' Up! Whoever designed these, and this little picture here, which is just kind of hilarious. But there you go. Stay tuned. Newsflash, important message. Happy birthday. Super, super, super fun card. And you do see they both do stand up, so don't have to worry about sending this to somebody and they can't stand it on their mantle. I'm sure they will absolutely love it. Such a fun, interactive card. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you've had as much fun as I did creating this card. If you have any questions, please send me an email at rachthestamper@gmail.com. If you have any suggestions, any cards you would like to see made, any stamp sets that you would like to see used, any ideas, any critiques, as long as you're being nice, I will take them. I want to thank you very much for joining me today. If you would like to support me without spending a dime, you can like, subscribe, share this with someone, leave me a comment. It helps to boost me into the social stratosphere so people can find this video more. Again, I will post the measurements for this, and if you are watching July 23rd, $75 or more, it is a free shipping event with Stampin' Up! Thank you so much for joining me today. Hope you enjoy this really fun fold card. Have a wonderful day.